Peace family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about monitoring spirits. You know what I'm saying? I've seen a couple comments down below that's just been kind of accumulating just throughout the past couple months about monitoring spirits. Even though I have done a couple videos on gang stalking, which I'll probably put right here or right here. I'm not sure the way the flip works right now, but monitoring spirits would be connected with the gang stalking culture. You know, it just depends on how you're perceiving it. So you can perceive the gang stalking from the physical with the technology and people pulling up on you and things, or you can perceive it from the spiritual standpoint. Different entities is using these vessels, these bodies around to kind of monitor you. You know what I'm saying? And for me, and from my knowledge and my experience and dealing with monitoring spirits, gang stalking, however we want to word it, you know, it's different terminology just depending on what part of the world or culture you're in, depending on the slang. It's like, to me, I take it as, when I'm in New York, is my sister is Dominican Republic, my youngest sister, so they have different languages depending on where you at. So in certain parts of the Bronx, they're going to speak a certain part of Spanish, then, you know, their slang is going to be different than the Puerto Rican slang, you know what I'm saying? But they both are speaking Spanish. So that's what I kind of get from the terminology sometimes with monitoring spirits and gang stalking. I kind of intertwine them that way. Just because everything starts from a spiritual standpoint first, so it's kind of hard to avoid it when we already understand where it starts at. When you are in a space of not just growing and like just growing upward, you have to actually be moving in the right light, meaning vibrating with the right team. When you're vibrating with the right team, when they see that you're kind of even glancing or looking over there at the other team, that's when they gonna want to do more monitoring. And if you want to start from when you were young, I feel like some of us are here from other places, right? So if you have that belief system that, you know, some of us are here from other places, we could say some of us are born here or all these other different places, right? But let's just say we start from, we're born from where these spirits enter these vessels from somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Like the male and the female creates the physical vessel, which creates a physical portal. It's kind of like when you build a house, now you have a physical portal to actually live in. So when you take the concept of a spirit coming down, that's why a lot of people are not just, I'm not saying just now, because we know in today's day and age, they got all kind of witchy sauce and everything to kind of fuck people insides up. So, but we all know that even having a baby is also a spiritual connection as well too. So when you think about you coming here from a different space, and you already been living a certain way for a certain period of time, you kind of felt like you already did, your belief system has always followed this certain path, you always kind of like stood up to bullies, you tried to blend and mold in with the crowds and shit, but it just really wasn't your vibe, even though you was extremely good at it, because we are highly adaptable, and it's nothing fake, because we're always us at the same time. You know what I'm saying? They watch us and monitor us from a young age from a spiritual standpoint. The opposition, they have no choice but to, because they already understand, like lions do, they have to kill the cubs, or the cubs is gonna possibly come back. They don't want to take that chance. And then some of them do take that chance. Clearly they're not swiping us out as we're babies. You know, they're giving beings a chance to see, all right, are you gonna use your powers and abilities to do the greater good, the healthier flow, the natural flow of life, or are you gonna be over here with these witchy motherfuckers right here? And you can use your same powers and abilities, you just won't have the same it won't have the same oomph and power behind it, because it's not coming from the direct source, you know. So when you start understanding that, all right, this has always been your flow, they've been monitoring you since you were little spiritually, because they already knew that, all right, the spirit is set up a little different, you know. It's not really conforming to the occult like household that is set up in, you know. And we should just kind of keep an eye on them. And as you go through this process throughout life, you don't really notice it when you're young, because you're in the house with everybody you know. You know, most of it is familiarity. So if you're not going to be paying attention to if your mom is looking at you weird, gang stalking you, or if your dad or your siblings, it's not gonna cross your brain or your spirit at that time. You know what I'm saying? That's why for a lot of us, it's like, as soon as we start experiencing more in the real life, it's like, oh, that felt new, or that was new, or what is that stare all about, or so what is that glance all about, or why do I feel this weird vibration even though I don't see it looking at me? You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of subtle ways you can tell. That's why it's like, it don't matter how much people get on the internet and fake, because it's just the same thing in real life. It don't matter how much you fake in real life. Like, real beings is always going to be able to know. So as you get older, it makes more sense to just be more organic, because now your wisdom is going to have more weight. It's going to be more solidified for when you are actually out here communicating, engaging, moving around, helping, healing people. Hopefully that will be the process, you know what I'm saying, and not just hurting and not sharing and spreading the knowledge or your experiences. We can learn from experiences, you know what I'm saying. You don't have to do or go through something if you can learn from the next person's experiences. On a percentage scale, we already know some stuff you're gonna have to experience, but with the monitoring spirits, it's no way of slowing them down, really. It's only really what you can do is fine-tune yourself, your spiritual weapons, your spiritual protection, you know what I'm saying, your chakras, you know. Get more connected with your vessel. So the more you get your spirit naturally connected with your vessel, the more in sync you are with everything you do. So it's kind of like when you little and you have good balance, or like you see little kids or something do something and they just look really coordinated. They're in sync with their vessel. A lot of us lose that synchronicity, whether it's due to weight or whether it's just due to some kind of spiritual chaotic-ish going on the inside, you know what I'm saying. But once you understand, like, the cops aren't going anywhere, right? So what you do, you figure out how to be smarter and wiser and use the knowledge and information you have to move around them. They're still there, but you have to move around them. You know what I'm saying? When you in the streets and you doing shit, you paranoid, you over your shoulder. We can say paranoid, or we can say fearful on a percentage scale. So you always looking over your shoulder. But once you get out of that state of being in that space, then you don't even look at the officers the same, because most motherfuckers, even on the lowest frequency, be like, yo, I don't even live that lifestyle no more, so I don't have to worry about that. Move around. The only difference with the gang stalking and the monitoring spirits, sometimes they do engage. You know, it's not always gonna be just like a camera, or like a camera, the doorbell cameras. Like, it's not gonna just be one of those things just visually looking at you. When they're in these vessels, they're able to actually engage with you. So that's why, like, for me, when I put myself in hard spaces, because a lot of us put ourselves in the spaces that we be in, we usually foresee them before it happens, and then we usually hinder or delay some steps, whether it's because we're fearful on a more higher spectrum degree than what we should be, or we're just not taking the steps due to the pressure that's just being applied, and we have other survival needs that's in place. You know what I'm saying? But the monitoring spirits is gonna be there. This is a spiritual based, you know, plane that we on, you know, or I don't really want to call it plane, but realm that we in. So everything is from a spiritual standpoint. So once you start getting to the point, just accepting it, all right, boom, this vessel is extremely weak and accessible. So if they want to monitor me, they'll be able to use this vessel right here. Simple process. Once that vessel start building itself up as strong as it can, then you will have to not worry about it as much. It'll be minimized. But for a lot of it, them entities is not trying to get out those vessels or not have access to them. Think about it like this. You could drive around a lot of towns and cities and still see old buildings up. Why don't they just knock the buildings down? Same thing. It's an energy frequency. So why get rid of that vessel when they can still access it and do witchy shit through it? If they don't knock these buildings down, or these stores, or whatever it is, these factories that's up everywhere, they can utilize those factories for witchy shit because it's basically already on private property. It's the same sauce, man. We just got to be diving deep and being aware, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't want to run it up too long, you know what I'm saying? Tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.